Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this is going to be a video where we're going to kind of look into our crystal ball. We're going to try to read the tea leaves here, because one of the things we try to do here at Washington Gun Law is do exactly that so that we can kind of help you get prepared for issues that may still be coming down the road. What I'm going to be geeking out with you guys about today is two areas that I am deeply concerned are going to become major areas of civilian disarmament. And it's something that's happening right behind our backs right now. And it's going to turn around, it's going to smack us in the face before we even know it's there. So I want all of you to start thinking about this right now. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the next two ways they will try to disarm you. Okay, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by Right to Bear. That's right, legal protection for self-protection. Listen, good lawyers aren't cheap, cheap lawyers aren't good. You're not truly prepared unless you have Right to Bear back you. You will always get an attorney-answered hotline, so you will always have a confidential phone call. There are no cap limits for either civil or criminal defense. This covers all forms of self-defense. So from a fist to a firearm, from a fat lip to a dead body, you are covered, and you will have some of the nation's most passionate 2A attorneys in your corner fighting for you. And right now, if you visit my friends at protectwithbear.com and you use the promo code WGL, you will receive 10% off. Listen, you need to protect yourself so that you can protect them. Visit my good friends at protectwithbear.com. Okay, this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about the push for civilian disarmament, because as I have said, gun control is like bad floodwater. It will get into any area which is not protected. I'm going to discuss with you two areas where I think that we're going to see a massive push for civilian disarmament here in the very near future. Save this video, watch it again in a year and a half, because I think we're going to be talking about both of these issues. Okay, the first issue is actually a spin-off from this video we did right here. I ended up having a conversation with a couple of different physicians who wanted to inform me a little bit more about how their industry works. Now, these were physicians who were very pro-Second Amendment, and they're very concerned about the future of the inalienable rights of not only their patients, but Americans nationwide. What we've begun to see now in all of these states that are moving for expansion of red flag laws, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to add medical professionals into the groups of individuals that can petition for red flag laws, okay? That means that your doctors, your counselors, and things like that, in addition to law enforcement and household members, will now be able to ask government to disarm you through a civil order, okay? That's expansion of red flag laws that we're seeing in a lot of states kicking that idea around. Now, we also know that there is federal legislation that says that if you have previously been deemed mentally defective, you should not be in possession of firearms. Now, how we get to the term mentally defective and all that, I'm not even going to dive into that today. But what I did not realize until I talked to both of these doctors is that the insurance companies all use a universal code for everything. So any type of services that you are receiving from your doctor, whether it's just a conversation about a particular subject or whether it's actual physical treatment, be it physical therapy, be it some other type of treatment, be it merely just prescribing medication for things, there's a code for that. And if you know the code, you can literally look at a person's insurance information and figure out everything there is to know about their overall health, including whether or not they're talking to their physicians about their mental health. Also including about whether or not their physicians have maybe referred them out to a mental health counselor, psychiatrist, or a psychologist. And also information about whether or not you are currently or have at some point taken any kind of mental health medication. And if that is the case, do not be surprised if we start seeing state mandates placed upon physicians where if you are aware of this, you must then notify law enforcement, who will then turn it into a red flag law. Now, what translation? And we're seeing this in the world of the veteran, and it absolutely disgusts me. is that you have these individuals who maybe are going through a temporary transitory period of extreme mental health anguish, emotional distress, or something like that. Now, they want to reach out to a professional. We want them to reach out to a professional, but they're so concerned that if they do so, they will be disarmed. So they choose not to reach out to the professional. They don't get the help they need. And too many of those stories end in a horribly tragic way that we are all becoming too familiar with. So they say this is about saving lives. What this will ultimately do is it will deter people from having open conversations with their physicians. It will deter individuals from going out and seeking the mental health counseling that they may so desperately need. But at the end of the day, this will yet be another way that the medical community, that your doctor, one of the people you trust the most in the world, will actually work against you to get you disarmed. Now, here's the other area I want you all to be concerned about. Let's go back in our time machine just a couple years ago. We had that little thing called the pandemic. Now, for some of you who live in states, maybe your kids were out of school for a couple of weeks and then they went back to school, and shockingly, you didn't pile up a bunch of bodies. But for people out here, like in the People's Republic of Washington, my kids were out of school for a year and a half. Let me say that again. My kids did not physically attend school for 1.5 academic years. Now, during that time, we had some semblance of an educational system on Zoom, but what it did is it allowed parents to take a peek into what's happening in the classroom. What are my kids being taught? Who's teaching my kids? How are they teaching my kids? Are they really teaching my kids reading, writing, and arithmetic? Or are they teaching my kids that there's 36 genders? Are they teaching my kid to be empowered and to go out and to function in the world? Or are they teaching my kid that he is either a victim or a victimizer? Okay, and once a lot of Americans woke up to that, they said, you know what? I'm yanking my kid out of school. And so we've seen a tremendous increase in enrollment in private schools, but we've also seen a tremendous increase in those kids who are being homeschooled. Why? Well, because private education costs a freaking fortune. That's why. Now, with this massive increase in kids that are being homeschooled, you can imagine that many states are not taking too kindly to it. Why? Well, because they're losing a lot of their funding, okay? And so what you're going to start seeing now, and California will be the first state to do it, but you mark my word, all these other states are going to be doing this, is they're going to say, hey, listen, if you're homeschooling your kids, well, then your home will constitute school grounds. And if your home, of course, constitutes school grounds, well, that's a gun-free zone. And for that reason, if you're going to homeschool your kids, you cannot have firearms in your home. Mark my words, you will see legislation to that effect, and you are literally going to put parents who already we are arguing that they apparently for some reason don't have any rights to raise their kid. You're going to put parents in the Hobson's choice of either sending their kids back to some septic tank of a public education system or exercising their inalienable right of self-preservation. So, moving forward, what I want you to do is very carefully watch what your state legislatures are going to be doing over the next couple years. You're going to see legislation that's going to pop up, and it's going to seem rather innocuous. And they're going to sell it like, oh, it's just a way to make sure that those people who are mentally distressed aren't getting their hands on firearms. Oh, it's just a measure to ensure that our children who are being homeschooled are actually receiving the same benefits as those that are in public schools. That's how they'll sell it to you. But inside of all of those arguments is the true purpose, which is to disarm you, the lawful and responsible gun-owning American. Listen, if you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. And then finally, let's everybody remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.